Good morning. Good morning. Episode number 3, Modeling Structure and Fiber Paste on our Pentart 101 series. I'm Teresa with Teresa Renee Art. Good morning. How are you? Let me know when you're on. Make sure to say hello. We are broadcasting in 5 different places this morning. So if you see a comment or if you hear me respond to something that you can't see the comment, it could be coming from a different place. Good morning. So we are broadcasting on 2 YouTube channels, the Royal Court Arts and my YouTube channel. We're on my Facebook page, which is Teresa Renee Art. We are on the Decoupage and Mixed Media Inspirations group, and we're on the Royal Court Facebook page. So we have 5 different places where you can watch us from. You can share this stream. If you want to share it, you can share it from the Royal Court Arts Facebook page or my Teresa Renee Art Facebook page. Happy to see all of your lovely, lovely names this morning. Thank you so much for being up bright and early on a Saturday morning and watching me and learning about all of our awesome Pentart products. You guys, we have so many. This is going to be a multi-week series. We probably will go into about 40 weeks worth of demos. We're on week 3 right now. We have already covered heavy body gel and we covered deluxe paste last week. So those replays are available. If you missed that, you can go back and catch up. Another thing we are planning to do is we are planning to do some blog posts on the Royal Court Arts website about all of the products, like do's and don'ts, tips and tricks, and kind of recapping everything that we've covered here. So we'll have a permanent archive of product write-ups that you can refer to at any time. Good morning. Good morning. So we have to just backfill the last 2 and then this one, and then we'll keep them updated on a going forward basis. Good morning. Good morning. So a little bit of housekeeping, you guys, because this stream will probably fill up pretty fast. We'll probably have a lot of people on. And what happens with that, when that happens, is the chat sometimes will go by very fast. And if I'm working, it's difficult for me to switch over and watch the questions that are being asked. So in terms of housekeeping, if you could save your questions until the end of the live stream, just write them down and we will save time at the end to answer any and all questions. And then the other thing I would ask is if your questions can stay on topic about the product that we're discussing this week. If you have a burning question about something else, ask your retailer or send us an email. But let's save the questions for this live today, strictly about modeling paste, structure paste, and fiber paste. Okay. If you're watching me on my page, which is Teresa Renee Art, if you're watching me, there are a couple of commands that you can use in the chat bot. The first one is !retailers, and that will take you to any of our retailer directory where you can find someone hopefully close to you or an online store where you can purchase these products. So that's !retailers, and that's probably the one that will be most useful for this live stream right now. Okay, you guys, so we are going to dive right into it. Good morning, everybody. We have a lot of people to say hello to. I'm going to turn my camera down and we're going to jump right in. We've got 1 hour to cover a lot of stuff. And I've got a lot of stuff on my desk here. Hopefully you can see. Can everybody hear me okay? Sometimes when I switch over, my volume goes out. So just before I start, can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if you can. Good morning, Brenda. Yep, so it's !retailers, one word. Thank you, Betty. Okay, so when you're using these products, we have fiber paste, we have modeling paste, and we have structure paste. And when you're using these products, the best way to apply them is with a palette knife. And retailers, by the way, I have some of these in. I'll be listing these a little bit later today, and we're going to start keeping these in stock as well for you. So we do have, we will have for our retailers available this 5 set of palette knives. So I just wanted to show that because I'm going to open it right now. These are really the best tools to use when you're applying pastes, really any Pentart paste of any kind, but in particular these 3. Okay, so I just went through because I have like tons and tons of this stuff, and I went through and I pulled out all of it because all of these are at various stages of use. So I'm going to try to use up the ones that have already been opened before I open new ones, you guys. And I am, if you'll bear with me 1 second, I'm going to try to adjust my camera view so we can get a bit more of my desktop. I think that's a little bit better. And I don't know where Dina is, but Dina, I don't even have my coffee this morning, so you can't sit here and watch my coffee get cold. I drank my coffee before I came on camera. Ronnie, I have some in for you guys, and I'm going to be listing them probably this afternoon. All right. So you will be able to get them from me. Okay. So I'm going to just open one of these bad boys up. I'll probably use this medium sized one here. My kids hate it when I say bad boys. Like, did you just call that a bad boy? I guess I did. They like, please don't say that. So the purpose of these 3 products is to create texture for mixed media. And they all pretty much do the same thing, but in a slightly different way. And I will tell you, out of the 3, the one that I tend to use the most is the modeling paste, because that's the one that I sort of started with. And it's like with anything, you end up kind of sticking with what you're used to. It doesn't mean that modeling paste is superior to all of them. It's just the one that I reach for the most often because I'm the most comfortable with them. Hey, Dina, I was just talking about you. I didn't bring my coffee on camera this morning. I drink it ahead of time. So you can't watch it get cold. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. Okay, so we're going to talk about structure paste. We're going to talk about fiber paste, and we're going to talk about modeling paste. And like I said, I tend to use modeling paste the most often, just because that's the one, like when I first started using Pentart products and I learned from my teacher, this is the one that he used the most often. And so I just picked up where he, started. But both of these are great. They're just slightly different. And we're going to talk about the differences of those as well. And I'm going to show you an example of a board. This is a background board that has already been completed. Gina. Oh, you're so funny. This was completed. So I created basically what I did, and we'll do a sample on this little board here. But basically what I did was I covered this whole board with modeling paste. And you can see all of the texture that the modeling paste leaves behind. And then I layered in some ribbons. So you could use any kind of like mesh ribbons or burlap, anything, lace. You layer that in to give your background some texture. And then once it was dry, I painted over it. So that's how I achieved the texture on this board. We are going to do an example of this to show you, but it's just a very basic, texture background. Okay. So, and we achieved this with modeling paste, but you can do the same thing with the structure and the fiber as well. This lace was done with modeling paste, and we scraped it through this little mold. I'll show you how to do that as well. But what happens when you pull it out is it is nice and pliable. And then you could layer that into some sort of background, or you could kind of use it like a flexible casting, around a piece. You can cut it as well. So hi, Pat, how are you? So this was done with modeling paste. You can achieve the same thing with fiber paste, but the structure paste is going to be a little bit too hard. It's going to dry too hard to do this. It doesn't dry as flexible. Okay, so let's start with modeling paste. I want to show you. First, I'm going to open them up and I'm going to show you the product side by side, just so you can see the comparison in each of them side by side. Let me open the big structure. Hey, Anya, how are you? All right, so this is the structure. And I have two sizes of structure paste. I have 100 milliliters and I have 250. And you can go to exclamation point retailers. Any of our Decoupage Queen retailers in the USA are able to get the Pentart products. So if you have a favorite Decoupage Queen retailer that doesn't carry Pentart, you can ask them how to get it. They can certainly help you. And they can also answer your product specific questions as well. So make friends with a retailer, you guys, and hit them up. They have been through the same training, or they have access to the same training ahead of time. So they are well equipped to be able to answer any and all questions, you guys. So that's one thing we really, really want to focus on with our teams is being able to kind of share this product knowledge with everybody. It's why we're doing it again for the public. We did it first with our retailers, and now we're doing it with you guys to make sure everybody has the same information. Okay, so here are the differences. Modeling paste. I would say the texture, if you look at the texture of the modeling paste, this is the lightest of the three. It's the most creamy consistency. It's kind of like frosting. So I had a friend who actually used modeling paste with cake decorating tools with piping and such. And she had beautiful results with this product to simulate. She made like a fake bake cake. And this was the product that I recommended she use. And it turned out amazing. Now, I'm not a cake decorator and I'm not a fiber artist. So we're going to be keeping our demos very basic. But if you do know how to decorate cakes and you're a whiz at piping tools and fondant and stuff like that, this is going to be your friend. So this is the one that's going to act the most like icing for stuff like that. Fiber paste is going to be more dense, and it actually does have fibers in it. So it's like paper fibers. When it dries, this one is going to dry with the texture of paper. So it's going to be a lot more water soluble. What is the word I'm looking for? Porous. It's going to be a lot more porous than this one when it dries. So it's going to absorb a lot more water. So this one, I would say, if you do some paper crafting, scrapbooking, and you want some raised stenciling that can sort of blend into your project, and you'll be able to paint over it with watercolors and such, this is a really good option for paper crafting. Next up, we have structure paste. All three of these are white and they dry white. They do not dry clear. All three of them do dry white. So if you color them or tint them with paint or something else, you have to consider the white factor, because that's going to make whatever tint you use a little bit lighter. So for example, if you used a red tint on any of these three, you would end up with pink, because red and white make pink. So consider this like a white, almost the same properties as white paint when you're adding to colors. And you can mix paint with all three of these, okay? But they do dry opaque, meaning not clear. They dry white. Okay, so structure paste. This one is going to have a very kind of chunky, it's got bits of, it's almost like, it's going to dry a little bit like cement or stone. It's got a very textured finish. The peaks that you can achieve will be a little bit higher, and it's a little bit rougher. So whereas this one's creamy, the modeling paste is creamy, structure paste is going to be a little bit rougher. Good morning, Mara. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to play with all three of them here. We're going to also let all three of them dry so that we can show you the difference with all three of them when they're painted. So modeling paste, okay. See how that's going on. It's nice and creamy. It's a little bit shiny. I can achieve some peaks in here. You can also let these dry and layer them as well. So, you know, if you wanted to really build up, you could do that. I have seen some people do some little flower, you know, flower petals. I'm just not that kind of artist. So I'm not going to be able to create 3D flower petals with this stuff unless I took a class or practice, but this is just a demo, so we're not trying to do that. Now, I will tell you, when I do acrylic painting, if I want texture in my acrylic painting, and I've drawn the outline of my image, I might come in with this modeling paste to strategically create some texture in various places. So for example, I painted an angel, and I came in and applied some of this modeling paste into the wings so that I could create some texture in the wings. Okay, so see how I kind of made a little wing there. You can certainly create texture in various shapes. Okay, so we're going to cover this board with the modeling paste. This is what I have so far. You can lay things into it. You can lay ribbon. You can lay lace. It will kind of act like a glue. So whatever you lay down in there is going to permanently stick. Last week with deluxe paste and other things, I had people asking me about stamping into this or stamping into paste. Generally, stamping into paste does not really work very well because it's too creamy. It's going to separate. And I'm just going to show you. So let me grab a stamp so I can show you what I'm talking about. Let's see. I have tons of them here. I'm just going to grab one so I can show you what I mean as far as why stamping into paste is not going to give you the result. And we can just stamp into this and fix it before it. So, for example, I've got this stamp here, and if I try to stamp into it to leave some texture behind, basically, this is what happens, okay? You end up with a lot of product on your stamp and a big mess on your thing. It did leave a little bit, but it's not enough to where you're going to have a reliable result. And then it doesn't clean off your stamp very well. So I do not recommend stamping into these pastes of any kind. It is not really meant for that. So I just wanted to show you that demo as an example of why it doesn't work. Not, hey, look, this is great, please do this. No. If you want to use stamping into something, it's best to stamp into clay, okay? Modeling paste are not going to do it for you. Neither will deluxe paste. So I hope that answers that. That was a pending question from last week. And it's this, even though I did it in modeling, it's the same exact answer for deluxe paste. Okay, so I'm I'm going to clean that up because it looks like a hot mess. So I'm just going to take my palette knife and redistribute. Okay. So that's modeling paste. We're going to let it dry and we're going to paint it so you can see how all three take paint. Now let's move over. Actually, while I have the modeling paste out, I'm going to go ahead and put it in this as well. So you can see, So I don't really find much difference, Miriam, and again, just remember to save your questions for the end. But as far as light and, first of all, we don't carry the light because it's not necessary, really. But the light one is just a little bit lighter than the modeling. So we can only choose one because of our shelf space, and we chose regular modeling because it's more versatile. So we do not carry the light modeling paste though. All right, so in terms of shallow, the way that I did this, these are shallow silicone molds that are used for cake decorating. And you can just take your palette knife and apply a little bit and get it right down into those grooves and scrape over the top of it. Let this dry for about 5-6 hours. Overnight is ideal if you can put it somewhere and then not touch it for a little while. Scrape over the top of it to get all that excess off. And then you can end up with a beautiful little lace applique. Hi, Amanda. How are you? So basically, that's what I did here. I let that dry overnight, and this is what I have. Okay. And you'll be able to pull it right out of the mold. All right. So just housekeeping wise, I know we have some new people on. If you don't mind, please save your questions until the end. I'm going to be moving pretty fast. I'm not going to be able to see all of the questions because there's a lot of you on here. So I will leave time at the end for questions. And then also another request is to please keep your questions relevant to what we're discussing. And then finally, I know we have a lot of very educated viewers on here. What I will also please ask is if you can let me answer the questions. Please don't chime into the chat to answer something that somebody has asked about the products. Okay, so we just want to make sure everybody gets the same information, and there may be things that that I need to explain that go along with a question that maybe I forgot. All right, so because again, we are broadcasting to several different places, and not everybody can see all of the responses or questions simultaneously. All right, so let's move over to fiber. Sorry, yeah, fiber paste. This is fiber paste. Fiber paste is a lot denser than modeling. It's thicker, and it does have little paper fibers in it. So I would say if you need a little bit softer or fibrous of a texture, I guess that's the way I can. It is going to make more peaks than this one will on its own. So it is denser. It's a little bit heavier. And I guess maybe this is more like, let's see. It's not really like icing, but I don't even know how to describe this in terms of some food item. Maybe mashed potatoes. I don't know. Maybe mashed potatoes with cheese in it. So it's going to be a little bit stiffer, and see how well that's taking the product. This is fiber paste. All of these you can use through raised stencils. You can use all of them through raised stencils. You can paint all of them. You can tint all of them. Okay, so it just really depends. You know, sometimes you have to let the project dictate the product that you need. You know, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. I know there are people who do sculpting type mixed media canvases and panels and stuff, and they really like fiber paste because you can get those peaks really high and just create a ton of texture and dimension prior to painting over. Yeah, exactly. Mashed potatoes and cheese. Yes. So you've got icing, mashed potatoes and cheese, and then we'll try to figure out what structure paste looks like here when we get to there. So again, this one's going to dry. It is fibrous. It is more porous when it dries. So it's going to absorb paint a lot differently than this one will. This is going to dry. Modeling paste will dry with a little bit of a glossy sheen to it. All right. So next up, we're going to do structure paste. Okay. And we'll put that on a board. This is structure paste. So, structure paste. This is more like, I guess, whipped mashed potatoes. It is a little bit fluffier in consistency. It does have, this is almost like, I would say if you took modeling paste and you added a ton of 3D powder to it to fluff it up a little bit and give it a little bit more texture, that would be structure paste. So it's going to dry kind of with a stone, almost a concrete finish to it. Let's see. This one almost reminds me of like spreadable goat cheese. I must be hungry I think I'm hungry this morning. Not quite cream cheese, but like, you know, something with some stuff in it. I don't know. All right. It kind of looks like goat cheese to me though. Good morning. I know we should have brought some appetizers, you guys. All right. So this is structure paste. It is going to dry very hard, like concrete. Will be a little bit porous, but not as absorbent as the fiber paste. You can mash things down into all three of these, you guys. But we'll really be able to tell the difference when we get them dry and we get some paint on them. So hopefully these won't take forever and a day to dry because they're so thick. All right, let me get my dryer out. We're going to sit here and we are going to dry for a little while. Yeah, like big ass saltines with goat cheese. Pentart charcuterie for sure. Another thing you could do if you wanted to create some texture, you could totally take like a fork or something and run it through. I know there are some tools for making scrapes and such, little tined tined scissors or mixed media tools, you could run those through. Again, I use this one a lot when I'm painting to take some place, and you could use all three the same way to take some areas of interest and add some raised elements to them. You can paint over all of them. They are all going to take a while to dry, you guys, so we'll see how long. I probably should have done this last night and let them dry overnight. My son's birthday party was yesterday, so I had 3 boys over here, and they were playing video games and eating pizza and just having a blast. And so we had a good time. He turns 11. Getting there. Here's another one that I did with the lace. All right, so go ahead while we're drying. I do have some time to answer some questions. So if you have any questions, now would be a good time to ask them so we can catch up on that. So any questions on modeling, fiber, or structure paste? Do they have a strong odor? They do not have a strong odor. If anything, it's the same odor as like paint. You do not need ventilation. Yes, you can combine them. You can use them all. You can mix them together. You could use them on the same panel. You can use 2 out of the 3 in molds. You can use modeling and fiber in molds. Structure paste, you cannot. You can't use deluxe paste in molds either. It doesn't turn out well. Over the other. These 2 are going to be better for modeling paste, and structure paste are going to be better for wood panels with backgrounds where you just need some extra texture. This one, you can use it in paper crafting, but there's a whole genre of artists who use fiber paste to create fiber paste based art. Like you can sculpt flower petals and all kinds of flowers, roses, all kinds of things with this. So this one, they all 3 have their uses, but you know, in general, you can also use them interchangeably. Because again, keep in mind, what we're doing here is we're creating texture. And so the way that it dries can easily be manipulated if you primed it. So if I layered this with texture, and if I primed any of them with a primer, I have now negated the effects of the finish that it leaves behind. And now my paint is all going to handle the same because of the primer. Okay. Stephanie, I am going to do a blog post for each of the products. Right now, we don't really have a written resource other than the product descriptions that are available from Pentart, which just aren't that great. Dana, yes, these can be used on cardboard, no problem. The one that I painted, the question that Somebody asked, which one did I use for the one that I painted? I used modeling paste for this one. Can you add mica? Yes, you can. Keep in mind, if you do use any colorants of any kind, including mica, you may have to use a lot of it to get a color that's rich or saturated enough because the bases are white. So it's like as if you're adding white paint. It's the same effect. What other questions, you guys? Can you bake them? No, do not bake these products. I would say you don't want to ever put anything in your oven unless the instructions specifically say to bake it. And then you have to follow the instructions exactly. So unless it's otherwise noted, please do not bake any of our products. No, Rima, no, not really. All right, we're getting there. Will adding a sealer compromise the effect? No, just remember the sealer, whatever finish the sealer is going to be, will then sort of determine the final finish of the product. So a sealer is just really like a watered down glue. You can't eat them. No, you can't eat them. So if you use the matte sealer or Velvet Touch, you could continue to paint and work these, okay? Same with primer. You know, if you added a primer over the top, then you can continue to paint and work these. No, Rosie, the silicone of the, as long as you're using a silicone mold, then it will release fine once it's fully dry. Can you decoupage over them? That's a great question. Yes, Chris, you can. In fact, I have many, many, many times. Yes. So I recently did a project where I used modeling paste through a stencil, and then I painted the whole thing white, just leaving the texture of the stencil behind, and then I decoupaged over it. And when I decoupaged, I really pressed in to that raised area, and it left behind this beautiful texture. It left behind a beautiful, beautiful texture underneath my decoupage that you could see through the decoupage, and it was just gorgeous. So I am going to be doing a lot more of that, and you could do that same thing with any of these. So I think we're reasonably dry here. I might do another few minutes, but I'm just going to let it cool for a second. Any other questions? Whew, goodness, you guys. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate you dedicating this hour. We can try it, Rima. Let's see, okay? We're going to paint all three of them, but then I want to try waxes on a few of them as well. They all three will adhere to glass. Great question. Shelf life is, of course, going to be the longest unopened, but just like deluxe paste, as soon as they hit the air, they start to dry out as soon as they hit the air. So you need to use them probably within 3 to 6 months, otherwise they will dry out, and you cannot reconstitute these products with water. Some things you can, like paint, but you will not be able to reconstitute the paste with water. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle from My Shell Bell, we don't have the written instructions for the blog post done yet. It was kind of an afterthought that and I decided to do, so we have a little bit of work to do. Next week, hopefully we'll have the 3 that we've done caught up, and I'll be able to share a link with you guys on where to find the blog posts. These will not, they're not supposed to crack when they're dry, Chris. They're not cracking products. So they aren't supposed to crack. However, sometimes what happens it's just like clay almost. If you speed up the drying too much, then they can crack, but they aren't cracking products. Okay, it seems like my modeling paste has taken the longest. Yes, any of our retailers can answer any of your questions, and you can find our retailers at !retailers all together. Like I said, all of our retailers have a full library of these videos actually already done specifically for them, and then also kind of geared toward how they can answer these questions as well. So they can answer any of your Pentart product questions that you might have, because we've already done all of these demos with our retailers. We did it last year. Instead of a retailer's retreat last year, we decided to dedicate a whole year to Pentart training. So every Saturday morning, I went live with my retailers exclusively and gave them pretty much all the same information that I'm giving you. So they all have training from that. Okay, the modeling paste took the longest to dry, and it's still a little bit soft, like it's still wet under there. So, ideally you want to let these dry overnight, okay? But we don't have that kind of time. So I'm just going to use a dark color to paint over these. I'm going to use the the purple acrylic sparkling violet is what it's called. But before I do that, Rima wanted to see some wax paste. So let's try a little bit of wax paste on each of them to see how that reacts. And actually, let's use purple. We're going to use the purple wax metallic. Yep. Okay. Thank you guys for following the housekeeping rules. It just helps me, since I'm doing this alone and I don't have a moderator. It just helps me kind of keep it all manageable and under control, because I'm only one person here. All right. So, see, it's not quite dry enough yet for me to be rubbing wax paste on there. So that was a fail. Do I have something else that has modeling paste? So I did this one last night. I'm doing this little thing. So this is wax paste over top of the modeling paste. It's okay. I think you need a primer or a base coat or something on there before you try to do directly, before you try to do wax paste over the top. It's taking it, but I would prefer to have it like painted first. Rima. All right. It looks like it took to the structure paste the best without any sort of primer. Yeah. So let's do paint. We're going to paint. We're going to take some paint, and I am going to wet these down just a little bit. And okay. And we're going to use, where's my paint? Oh, duh. I mixed up my stuff. That wasn't good. See, I should have brought my coffee over, Dina. I thought, oh no, I can handle it. I've had one cup already. I'm good. Apparently, I need that second cup, even if I don't drink it. All right. Look at my hands, you guys. Look how ridiculous. This is my life. I can't even I barely touch this stuff, and now I have paint everywhere. Okay, so let's start with this one, the structure paste. I'm going to wet it a little bit so that my paint flows a little bit better. And I'm not pressing down too hard just because I know I have my areas are still a little bit damp underneath there. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint them all, and then we're going to apply wax over the top just to see what kind of results we get. And we're going to let these dry a little bit more as well. So I hope that answered your question too about stamping into these things. You're not going to get a great result if you stamp into these. Another great way to create texture is with clay, which you can stamp into. And then of course, I do use clay a lot in my moldings. We'll have a whole session on clay as well. That's so true. All right. And that we use, so for clay, we use Jovi clay, which is from Spain. We use an air dry clay. That's our favorite. All right, so there's one. Let's do this one. This is just a Pentart metallic acrylic. This is the I would say, have you ever heard when there are artists like, okay, Abissimo, have you heard of Abissimo? Maria Grossbaum, if you haven't, please follow her. She's amazing. She uses a lot of golden and Liquitex products, but one thing that she does a lot of in her mixed media art is she adds like toilet paper into her paste to give them more fiber and texture. And so I would say, if Maria Grossbaum from Abissimo was going to choose one of these, she would probably choose the fiber paste, because it's you can just get really high peaks and lots of you could model a whole terrain or landscape with this stuff. So if you do like dioramas or models, this stuff is your friend, because you can really you can simulate a terrain very well with it. She is amazing. I've taken a couple of her classes too. And so I haven't actually I've gotten tons of inspiration from her, but I actually haven't done any of the projects from her class, but I've watched her, and she, she adds toilet paper and all kinds of stuff into her paste to create what this already has in it. So it's the paper fibers, to just give it lots of movement and dimension. So you can, I don't know how well you can see, but the paint on this one is a little bit lighter because it's kind of just laying on top of the product, the structure paste. And on this one, the paint has actually started to absorb into the material because it is like paper. So it's a little bit darker. Yeah. Maria Grossbaum. She's Abissimo. So if anybody has her link, you can feel free to share it. And she doesn't use Pentart, so she's not affiliated with us or anything. She's just an incredible mixed media artist that I respect and recommend watching if you want to learn different types of techniques. And of course, you could use any of our products for the types of techniques that she uses. She doesn't represent any brands or anything. She's just a phenomenal artist and a phenomenal teacher. So, I always say, learn from as many people as you can, and then that way you'll bring different ideas to the table. If we're all learning from the same people, guess what? Our projects are all going to start looking the same. So learn from as many different creators as you can, develop your own style. And it's fine, like, here's what I want to say to you guys too about copying. Okay. And I gave my retailers the same spiel. If you copy my work, that's kind of what I'm here for. Is I want you to copy my work so you can learn how to and how not to do it. And if you give me credit, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't care, because you can consider me sort of like a teacher, right? I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm here to kind of show people how to use this stuff and to give you examples that you can hopefully work with and learn from. Remember, all of the old masters, guess what? Old masters in oil painting, they copied each other's work all the time so that they could learn each other's techniques and develop them and improve them and then turn them and make them their own. Okay. So 100%, you have my permission right now to copy anything that I ever do, please, so that you can learn and take away. But the one thing that I'm asking from you, if you do that, is the next time you do the project, do it differently, make it your own, take something else that you've learned and incorporate it. And then next time, make it your own. So when you copy, fine, you should give credit, you should give attribution, but then you should also try to make it your own. Now, copying other creators, you guys, I would say that's between you and them. If you do choose to do that, there are a couple of house rules in this field for copying. Number one, you should always ask permission before you do it. Okay, so say, look, I love this project so much. I watched you do it. Do you mind if I try it as well? If they say, oh my gosh, you don't even have to ask, you can always copy. Okay, great. Go ahead and do it. But then if you post it or share it, you should always credit that person as to where the inspiration came from. It's just a good idea. The other thing I would say about that is if you do lives, don't reteach something that somebody else did as your own thing. You can change it up or switch it up, but don't, if somebody else did a live and it's XYZ project, don't go live and repeat XYZ project exactly the way they did it. Let's see, what else do I want to say? Classes, if you took a paid class, a lot of times I offer paid classes sometimes, and I have taken paid classes, and it's never okay to reteach someone else's class for profit or even for free, because that person invested a lot of time and money, and then that other people also paid to be there. Okay, so give credit where credit is due, always. And look, even if you don't copy, even if you make it your own, if someone inspired you, and yours, it might even look completely different, but you got your inspiration from somebody. It's always a good idea. It really just helps build community, and it also builds respect for you as an artist, because you're sharing that you were inspired. Okay. So always give credit where credit is due. And anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, and I'm going to get back to modeling paste. So, y'all see, they saw that side of me. They got me started, right? Absolutely, Brenda. Absolutely. Yeah, just respect each other, and just, respect and giving back and sharing. I mean, we're all one big community. And again, like I said, I'm here to teach you and hopefully provide inspiration. I actually had somebody this morning who shared, she did the Wonderland egg that I made. She actually did that whole project and she shared it with me. And you guys, there is nothing I love more than if somebody, I inspired somebody to complete something and they shared it with me and told me what they learned and showed me their version. As an artist and creator, that just makes me beyond thrilled and beyond happy. But here's how that wouldn't have been okay, is if she would have taken that piece, shared it out to the world and said, claimed it as her own, like, look what I made, without any sort of acknowledgement, right? And that happens a lot to people. It doesn't happen that much to me, but it does happen. So, I've seen people actually take some of Ivetta's YouTube demos, like she did very specific YouTube demos, and I've seen people recreate the whole thing, make their own YouTube demos and start sharing it out. And I'm like, wait a minute, Ivetta did this same project 3 years ago. It happens all the time. And it is a small community, and somebody's going to see it, So anyway, okay, so let me dry here, and you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but the texture, the finish on all of them look slightly different. I'm going to let these cool just a little bit more. So here's the finish on the structure paste. That's what that one looks like, and it's not dry. I'm not ready to wax it or anything. Here's the finish on the fiber paste. And it's really, I wish you could come over. I wish you were here so you could touch it. And then the modeling paste is probably, of all three of them, it's the flattest. So it's got some movement, but it doesn't have as many peaks and valleys. And the paint is much glossier because the finish underneath is very shiny as well. This one, a lot of the paint kind of absorbed into the product. And then this one, I would say the structure paste probably is the most interesting of all of them. It kind of looks like jeweled effect almost. So somebody asked the question about cracks. And what I would say about cracks there are what appears to be cracks that are kind of evident here. But what that is just raised, it's raised surface area. So what I'm going to try to do next is I'm just going to try to dry brush a little bit over the tops of these so that you can see the texture. Yes, Lynn, if you seal the fiber paste with a primer, not a sealer, but a primer, if you coat it with a primer, it won't absorb as much. Thank you, Brenda. We're not doing the wheel today, though. Only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can come back on Tuesday and watch my, I have a segment called Crafty Mixed Media. I'd love to see you there on Tuesday. We do mixed media projects. We incorporate all this stuff into our projects. We have a lot of fun. And we create some beautiful things. That's at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Of course, if you already watch another creator during that time slot, then that's fine. You can always catch us on replay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a little bit of paint. This is the dark gold metallic, and I'm still not fully dry, so I don't know how well this is going to go, but I'm going to try to dry brush on the structure first. I'm going to try to dry brush over the top a little bit so you can sort of see that texture come through. What I'll do off camera tomorrow when these fully dry is I'll take a little bit of wax over the top of them off camera, and then I'll share the three of them side by side. But basically what I attempted to do was I attempted to get as much peaks and valleys as I could when I applied. So I want to show you what I'm attempting to do here is just to kind of show you the difference in the texture that you can achieve. We've already talked about the finish and when you would use one versus the other, but here I'm sort of using them all in the same way so you can see. So this is the structure paste. Bye, Mara. And this is the fiber paste. I would say you can get the most peaks and valleys definitely with the fiber paste. So there's the fiber. Like if I were going to do some sort of, you know, maybe I was going to try to sculpt a tree or something with this stuff. So side by side, and they look pretty similar. So fiber paste definitely has a lot more depth. And then modeling paste. See, I did this demo before and I came to the same conclusion that I really liked the other two more than I liked the modeling paste, or I felt like it achieved more of what I was after. But for some reason, I still gravitate toward the modeling paste. I think because it's a little bit more versatile with the shallow, with the lace things, probably. Like it's a little more universal. And of course I could add toilet paper to the modeling paste too. You know, you can add anything to this. So like in terms of dimension, this one is much flatter than this one. So see all that? there, that dimension, and then this dimension. So I hope that was helpful. I am going to ask you what other questions you have now, and then we're going to wrap up this session. I don't remember what we have on deck for next week. Let me check. Oh, let's see. What do we have on deck for next week? Hold on. Let me check. I got my handy dandy calendar out. Pentart demos. Here we go. Next week we have snow, ice, and rainbow paste. There's about 6 different products we're going to show next week. Yes, snow, ice, and rainbow. The paint I was using is called Sparkling Violet. Sparkling Violet. So it's next week we're going to cover, there's about 6 different pastes. We have snow paste, snow crystal paste. We have ice crystal paste, ice effect paste. And then we have rainbow paste. So there's like 5 different pastes next week that we're going to go over. They all are slightly different. So we'll talk about all of those different variations. Thank you, Patricia. What's the structure? Yes, you can add any textiles or lace or anything to all 3 of them. You can add anything, and they do kind of act like a glue as well. Expand paste. Yes, hold on. Let me look at my calendar. We will do expand paste. That is week number 6. So that's in 3 weeks from now, Dina. It's going to be expand and bead paste in week number 6. Okay, you guys, well, have a great weekend. And I will hopefully, if I don't see you during the week, hopefully I will see you next weekend, Saturday, same time, same place. And talk to you soon. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.